Hey guys, a warm welcome to Wisdom from North. I'm Jannecke, and today I would like to address the topic of spiritual teachers and what to look for when we want to find a teacher to help us and guide us along our path. So let's dive into that one. So why do we actually need a spiritual teacher to guide us in the first place? Because we hear again and again that we should listen to our own inner voice and follow our own inner journey and follow our hearts. So why do we need someone externally to help us? Well, I've asked myself that question and I've come to that both are actually important and equally important. Because in one sense, yes, you should listen to your own heart, I believe. That's my thoughts. Your own inner voice and your truths. But at the same time, it helps us having some guidance, having some help to actually stay on the path and practicing. Because I've noticed in my journey that listening to my own voice is not always easy, and changing my belief system and finding new truths is not always easy. It's so easy for me to fall into old habits of thinking and go into this default mechanism or software program where I say to myself that I'm not good enough, etc., etc. And I have found that I really need to have that inspiration from other teachers. I need to continuously grow and expand and stay on the path and practice again and again to get results. And I can notice that it's very easy to just lose that inspiration and come back to these habits of thoughts as saying, oh, you know, it will never change anyway. And that's where I need a teacher to say, you can do it, Jannecke. Stay on the path, keep practicing, and it will open up. And inspiration is such a wonderful word. When we're inspired, we're aligned with our soul. And I can notice when I go to YouTube and watch the spiritual teachers that I follow, I get this spark inside and they reaffirm what I already know. It's like in a split second, I had forgotten that I knew. And that's very human because I think we are born with all this wisdom. I don't think actually that we're learning something. But that can be a trick of words because we're talking about teaching all the time, right? But I think we are re-remembering actually what we know. But it's like we have to unravel. It's like we are these stars inside, but we need to take away the dirt. And if we are not continuously inspired and practicing all the time, that dirt just easily comes back. So for me, having a teacher that keeps me staying on the path, keeps inspiring me, keeps helping me expand my consciousness, that helps me remember again who I am, what my purpose is, and to continuously expanding and unravel and taking away more and more of that mud that's outside my own inner star. So it seems like there is a paradox that yes, you know, we need a teacher, but yes, we're listening to our own voice, but paradoxes are very interesting because Alan Watts, for instance, it was John Selby who told me this because I'm interviewing John Selby in one of my interviews that's coming very soon. And he's written this book, Let Love Find You. And his teacher was Alan Watts. And Alan Watts said that the deeper you are coming or the deeper you're going into the levels, like the deeper levels, there are more and more paradoxes. And it can help you to actually expand your understanding of reality. So reality is not just 100%, it can be 200%. So one truth can be 100% true, and another truth can be 100% true as well at the same time. Mind-boggling, isn't it? All right, I wanted to start with that, but now I wanted to share my perspectives on spiritual teachers and how you can find one that is good for you. Because I've been interviewing a lot of them. I've been interviewing, I think, around 400 spiritual and transformational teachers. And I used to have this belief system that the most popular teachers that had the most views and those who knew the most, they seemed like they were so good at talking and they had so much intellectual knowledge, those were the best ones. well, I've come to change that opinion, because I found that there can be beautiful, wonderful teachers that are not that well known, that really helps me. That helps me even more than these popular teachers. Not to say that popular teachers are not good at all. I just wanted to share a perspective that teachers who don't have that many views can actually be the best one for you as well. So don't, get tricked by how many views they have or something like that. But it can be a good indicator that their message is, resonating with many people. So when I have found my spiritual teachers, and when I'm saying that I'm working with the best spiritual teachers now on my new platform and the new membership platform that I'm creating, I'm saying that because there are the best ones for me. And I want to give you the ones I think are best. So of course that's a bit subjective, but I didn't want to collaborate with someone that is not resonating that much with me. So how I've come to make that judgment of who are the best ones for me is by going through my values. So what are the core values that I have when I look for a spiritual teacher? Well, the first one is that they are heart-centered, that their teaching is coming from their heart and that they are centered in their heart themselves. Like studies from NYU and other universities are talking now about the heart as the fifth brain, and heart math is saying that the heart has intelligence. And I also believe that the heart, I feel like it's this pure energy in the heart. So they needs to come from this place of light and pureness. So that's number one for me. The second value for me is that they need to be humble. They need to have this humble perspective of life. If I come across an arrogant teacher, they don't resonate with me because that doesn't fit into what I feel like the energy that I want to move into. And I actually went to India. I've been talking about this before. And there were some spiritual teachers at that time that I looked very up to, and they seemed like they had an expanded consciousness, but some of them, it was not everyone, but it was a few, had this arrogant attitude. And at that time, I accepted it because that was the belief system I had at that time. But now it doesn't resonate with me anymore because I don't understand why they are putting themselves over me, because I'm in a learning situation and I'm just as valuable as they are. So it's very important for me to have a spiritual teacher that is very humble. The third thing that is very important for me is that the teacher is kind and is practicing kindness. Because I feel it's really important to mention this, because the spiritual path can seem like a very egoistic path. Like we're studying so much of ourselves, listening to ourselves, all this self-love. And I think it's the opposite of an egoistic path. But it can become that if we're only focusing on ourselves and not caring about others, only focusing on our own happiness, feeling and finding our own anchor. But we also have to practicing kindness towards others. I believe that when we do love ourselves, we have the possibility to love others more. But I think that's an awareness that needs to be there, that we are kind, practicing kindness towards others. So if I see a teacher that is not kind, speaking kindly to others, that doesn't resonate with me, because it's good and all that they have found inner peace, but if they're not practicing kindness or kind to other people or me, then they are not resonating as a teacher. So kindness is very important for me. The fourth one for me is being authentic. So I think it's so important that a spiritual teacher is also practicing their own teacher, and that they're authentic. Then that what they're teaching us is coming from a place within themselves, and they're actually trying to walk the talk. And I'm not saying that they need to walk the talk 100%, because that's very difficult, because we teach what we need to learn. But I think it's important for me that they're trying to walk the path and that they're practicing it. So it's coming from this real authentic place, not a fake place where they're talking about things that they don't know or haven't experienced themselves. So experience that they're actually gone through the journey themselves, That's so important for me. And then I listen immediately. When they're talking about their own experience, drawing from their own life and saying how they pushed through that, they were struggling with this, but they discovered that, that's really authentic to me. Now, the fifth one is practicing, that they're actually ever evolving and practicing, that they don't have like a stuck teaching that is forever true, but they are continuously expanding. Because I believe that that's, you know, a truth I have, that that everything is expanding, and science is showing that the universe is expanding all the time. So I think that's the same with us, that we are continuously developing and growing and expanding. So it's very important for me that the teacher is continuously studying, trying different things and opening up to new things, and their teachings is evolving. So that was more my core values when it comes to following or finding a teacher. Now the question is, what are your core values? What are your values? What is important to you when it comes to finding a spiritual teacher? And I mean, it seems like such an obvious thing, right? But I find that it's so easy to go into this group mentality that, oh, you know, that teacher is very good. She has studied so long and she has done this and that and she's very popular. So we just follow the crowd. And when we feel that something isn't resonating with me here, then we have the tendency to overlook that. Back to not listening to our own voice, right? And the importance of doing so. So whenever it's not resonating, and it doesn't have to be the teaching itself, because yes, you can disagree about something, but I'm speaking more about the energy and the spiritual teacher as a person. If you feel like there's something that is not resonating with the way the teacher is teaching, the way she is presenting it, that there's like a discordance or something, follow that hunch, you know, and look for another teacher that truly resonates with you. A teacher you really like as a person, because that's important too, because a teacher can often become a role model. For instance, I want to mention too that when I went to India, it was this practice of worshipping teachers. And everybody else did it, so I did it as well. You know, I lay down on the floor and I worshiped them. But everything inside of me was like, this is not what I want to do. It doesn't feel right. And I didn't get any results from it either. Probably because my heart wasn't into it, and I tried to fake it. I tried to fake it until I make it and go into it like with my whole body and my whole system. But it just didn't happen. And I realized I had to accept that I come from a Western world where that is not usual to do. And it just didn't work for me. And when I thought about it, it still doesn't resonate with me, because I don't feel we should worship each other. We can have role models. We can be inspired by a teacher. But I don't think we should lay down on the floor worshiping each other like gods, because we are just human beings. And the whole point, I believe, from a teaching from a spiritual teacher is to help you find your power, not to lay down on the ground for them. I think that's like the opposite of what I want a spiritual teacher to help me to do, is to find my power. So I can feel equal with them, but I can of course look up to them, admire them and everything, but knowing that I'm just as valuable as them and that we're equal, we have just different experiences. So this was a very honest blog, guys, about my values when it comes to spiritual teachers. And you might disagree, that's totally okay. You might have different traditions, and we all have. I just want to invite you to really go within and listen to what are your values and see if they are reflected in that spiritual teacher that you are following. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't before. And I also want to mention that I am creating a membership platform where I offer different masterclasses with different teachers that I resonate with, so you can pick and choose what topic and what teacher you want to listen more to. We're also having challenges where you can go fully in, or you can go into it whenever you want, or how deep you want to go. But I do believe believe it's important to have certain practices. If we do want results in some areas, we need to look more into that. But I love also freedom. I love the word guidings and guidelines, not rules. So this membership will not be any strict rules or anything. It will be more guidelines, and you choose how deep you want to walk into the path yourself. And if you want to know more about that, you can sign up on my newsletter under the video description. All right, thank you so much for watching. Remember to shine the light that you are and listen to your own inner voice when finding a spiritual teacher. Much light. Bye.